Okay, we continue with the lesson 2, chapter 7, ratios, lesson 2, equivalent ratios. Let's talk about this thing, right? So what is an equivalent ratio? They tell us here, wow, this is so, okay, all right? Before we learn, the ratio of the number of red cubes and the number of blue cubes is 1 to 2, okay? So there are red and there are blue, all right? 1 to 2. There are 36 cubes altogether. 36 cubes altogether. How do we show? Use like these numbers to show the number of red and blue cubes. Basically, they ask us like how many. Well, 1 to 2 is 36, right? So basically, we have 3 units or 3 groups, right? That become 36. So basically, it is what we divide this thing. We divide 36 by 3, right? And it's gonna be 12. So this is 12. This is 24. There are 12 red ones, and there are 24 blue ones. All right. Okay. So in order to understand this concept closely, right, we can now learn. So learn 1. All right. Nora has 4 apples and 8 pears, right? What is the ratio? Ratio is 4 to 8, right? Now, what she does is she puts fruits onto trays of 2, right? Each tray has 2 fruits. And now suddenly, as we discussed in the previous lesson, right? The number of items like inside the group, right? It's not important. We can just find our ratio. 2 trays and 4, right? So the ratio is 2 to 4, right? What she does next, 2 to 4, okay? What she does next is she puts fruits onto trays of 4, yeah? And 4 pears right here, right? So you can see there is 1 tray and there are 2 trays, and your ratio becomes 1 to 2, right? So what they tell us over here, the last sentence on this page, 4 to 8, 2 to 4, and 1 to 2 are all equivalent ratios, right? All of them, they're all the same. So on the next page, they're asking us to do the exercise now. Now instead of our fruits, right? We have different kind of circles. So blue and red, right? You calculate them and you find the ratio. First, just a number, simple number. How many blues to relate to how many reds, right? If you calculate them, there are 12 blues and there are 6 reds, right? So this is your ratio. Blue to red, or number of blue to the number of red, is 12 to 6, right? So you can see you can simplify these numbers by what? By grouping these two, this blue and red circles into groups of 2, right? Now the ratio of groups, right? We have 6 groups of 2 and we have 3 groups of 2. So our ratio becomes 6 to 3, right? Or basically, if you check these 2 ratios, right, we just basically divided both parts by 2. This is what we did. We divided it by 2, and this is what we did. We grouped them, right? 2 in 1. Now we're doing the same thing, but now we put in one group, we put 6 circles, right? And now our ratio is changing. It's changing numerically, but the meaning is the same, 2 to 1, right? So if you can see what we did from the first one, we just basically divided by 6, right? 12 divided by 6 is 2, and 6 divided by 6 is 1, okay? All right, hope it's clear, this part. Now, the next concept number 2 that we need to learn, that we can multiply the quantities in a ratio by the same number to find an equivalent ratio. Okay? So, look at this. And this is what we did, right? here in previously. There is a ratio 12 to 6, there is a ratio 6 to 3, there is a ratio 2 to 1, but all of them are equivalent ratios. All of them are same, yeah? Like the meaning is the same, right? So if the ratio is 1 to 3 and we multiply both sides by 2, we multiply 1 by 2 and multiply 3 by 2, right? Like this thing and this thing. 2 to 6. So these two ratios, 1 over 3, 1 to 3 and 2 to 6 are equivalent ratios. If we multiply it times 3, right? 3 times 3, both sides we multiply times 3. Okay? We get 3 over 9. So those are also two equivalent ratios. The next thing that they tell us, right, we can also find equivalent ratios by expressing ratios to the simplest form, right? And here is this boy is telling us we express ratios in their simplest form by dividing each quantity by a common factor, okay? Common factor. Here, 2 to 6. Each side is divided by 2 and we get our simple ratio 1 to 3. Each side is divided by 3 and we get our simple ratio 1 to 3. So you always need to focus when you have big numbers in your ratio, focus on your common factors. Common factors. How can you simplify the ratio? All right? Okay, hands-on activity. Count the number of tables and chairs in the classroom. We can do it in the classroom too, right? And quantities. So let's focus on this exercise. Express each ratio in its simplest form. Okay, 4 to 14. 4 to 14. Both sides can be divided by 2, right? 4 by 2 will be 2. 14 by 2 will be 7. Okay? B, right? B over here. 18 to 8. This is the ratio, right? Can also be divided by 2. 18 divided by 2 is 9. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 9 to 4 is the simplest form of the ratio, right? Okay, next one, C. 8 and 32. Both sides here can be divided by 8, right? So it's going to be 8 by 8. 1, 32 by 8, 4, right? And lastly, 42 and 12. How can we do that? We can divide both of these numbers by 6. This is the common factor. Common factor is 6. 7 to 2. All right? Okay. So the next thing, right? And this is actually what we talked about is a proportion, right? If you have a ratio and you have an equivalent ratio and you're missing a number in your equivalent ratio, you can find it, right? 2 to 5, and you need to see the relationship. 2 was multiplied by 3 to become 6, right? So 5 was also multiplied by 3, and this is our missing number, right? This is our missing number. The missing number is 15. Okay? What is the second method that they suggest for us, right? It's a reverse operation. You have 6. What do you need to do to get 2? You need to divide by 3, right? So they ask you what kind of number here you need to have that you can divide, the number that you can divide by 3 and get 5, right? Obviously it is 15, all right? So check out these two things, these two methods, and let's try now, okay? Look at this exercise. You have a ratio 3 to 8, and you have a ratio, equivalent ratio 12 to something. So how we go from 3 to 12? We need to multiply it by 4, right? So this 4 and 4, okay? So 8 times 4 is 32, okay? This is your equivalent ratio. Same thing here, B. 4 to 7 is 12 to something. So 4 to 12, we need to multiply by 3, right? 7 becomes something, multiplied by 3, 21. Okay, sorry you cannot clearly see here, but this problem, right? This exercise. Again, right? 3 times something becomes 48. Which number is the common factor, right? 16. 3 times 16 gonna be 48, right? So we need to divide 18 by 16, right? 80 by 16. 80 by 16 is 5, okay? Last problem, 122 to 124. So what is the factor here, right? 7 times what becomes 224, right? So you just do your division, right? And you can see that the common factor is 32. So 128 divided by 32 is 4, yeah? And your ratio is 4 to 7. Okay, I hope this one is clear. Okay, so the last page in this lesson, right? Find the missing number. Okay, so this is totally same thing. It's just they show us that the first method that they use is a division, right? And then they show that you can do the same thing with different operations. You can do it with division, you can do it with multiplication, right? And I'm sure you can follow. Let's try to solve this thing, right? Find the missing number, 6 to 42. So 6 and 2, right? So what do we need to, we need to divide by some number to get 2, right? Obviously this is 3. So if this is 3, this one is also 3, right? So 42 divided by 3 is 14. Okay, very easy. 15 and 3, right? You need to divide by what? Right? What is the common factor? Common factor is 5, right? So 25 divided by 5 is 5. Okay? All right. Same thing here. Find the common factor. Use the common factor to calculate this. It's going to be 68. And here the same thing. Common factor 35, right? And 5 times 35 is 175. Okay. Check up your workbook. Practice 2. It is for this lesson. Yeah, you should be able to see that this is actually right the same thing, the fraction and the ratio, right? So 4/10, if you simplify this fraction, you divide both denominator and numerator by 2, and it's going to be 2/5, right? So the ratio in the same way can be simplified to 2 to 5. Okay, so as you can see, they're very similar. Expression of fractions and expressing of ratios is working in the same way. Okay, here's a little practice for you. Pause the video, try to solve all these problems on a piece of paper, and when you're done, I will show you the solution. So, solution. After you finished the pupil book lesson 2, go to workbook lesson or practice 2 and do it. Okay, thank you.